What is going on, YouTube? Another review, another time to talk about movies. I love it. Today, we are talking about The Naked Gun. It's more of not a reboot, it's a sequel, but with a new twist on it. This one stars Liam Neeson in the role. He's not new to comedy, he's been in comedy movies. He's mostly been in Seth MacFarlane made comedies from my memory. His humor is really dry, it's nothing too insane. Um, but for this role, he did perfect actually. It's different. It's not as what we got from Leslie Nielsen back in the day, but Liam does the job well, and I applaud him for what he did. It was funny. This movie was just downright funny. To me, this is what comedy is and was. It was more or less we had just comedy that there was stuff always something going on. If it was in front of you, in the background, or if it was the dialogue in general. Something was always going on with the comedy to make it funny, to make it interesting, to make it the way it should be. And that's what I think Seth MacFarlane and the director understood about making this movie, because they actually set the tone for a lot of stuff. They made layered jokes. They made the comedy from back in the day, and it just made it right to where we understand why they did it. You know, they didn't just make a stupid comedy that, oh, we rely on fart jokes and all this other stuff. No, 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 no. They relied on layered jokes. Like there is a joke in there about like the Sex and the City uh or the cast of what they did in the show. And it was layered. It wasn't just a simple haha. Oh, it was just, one of them was a writer in this. No, they made each character different, and they talked about it as, one was a writer, one was, I think one was a model or something, and then he calls Samantha a whore, which makes it funny. It's not just down outright stupid. It was a very good joke on, you know, what they were telling about. The story is nothing groundbreaking. It's not like gonna, reinvent comedy for storytelling. No, it did the job. To me, in my honest opinion, the story could have been a little bit different. It literally replicates another movie. Um, that is, not it was kind of a comedy too, but it did what it needed to do as a comedy. You know, Liam Neeson was good. All the other cast and crew members were freaking funny. Pamela Anderson, I never expected her to actually be pretty funny in this movie, and she even said she didn't even have to try. So kudos to her. But I give my hat off to the directors to understand what the Naked Gun was back in the day. It made some serious moments, and it doesn't take itself seriously. It knows what it is. I mean, the entire premise of the movie was centered around the plot device. Come on, how much more unserious can you take it without it being, a spoof of itself? It just makes it funnier, you know? And they do explain what PLOT means. So it's not just the plot device, but it still would have been funny even if it was just a plot device. So, kudos to that for making a joke. I mean, it was literally how the Naked Gun movies were back in the day. And it makes it so much better to understand that type of comedy again. You got somebody walking out of the background, coming out of a cold room, and it's cold cases. Simple jokes like that just make it funny. I mean, I just went and watched it again today, and there was a decent amount of older people in there, an older generation that experienced the old ones back in the day. They were laughing just as much as I was because I understand this comedy. That, simple little jokes make it the way it is. I mean, in the older first movie, they legit had OJ Simpson's character who not died, but he got, shot, and then he fell in the water. They legit had his body tape in the water, just floating. It's funny because it's just, you don't think of stuff like that. That's what these comedy movies are. You don't think that they're going to make a joke about this, or, you don't think of anything that's going to be that funny, but it is. And that's what I loved about the Naked Gun movies. The first two are just phenomenal. The third one is okay. It's not the best. in my humble opinion. But this one actually set a new standard for new generation of laughter. You know, we're gonna get most of the stuff that they did, but they bring the old comedy back and still give you something to laugh about. Old and new generation. When I first saw it with my dad, we loved it for what it did. My dad loved the old Naked Gun movies. Still does to this day. I would watch them still. But he said even this one was still funny. He still laughed at a lot of the jokes. He had his favorite joke from the movie. I have my favorite joke from the movie. Each comedy movie of these like caliber of comedy movies will always have a little something for you. And this one does. Liam hits the mark with his comedy timing, you know, trying to be a serious cop in an unserious world. And it works. And that's what I loved about Liam Neeson doing it. At first, I was kind of skeptical because I was like, well, Liam Neeson's never done comedy. So how is he going to perfect what Leslie did back in the day? He said this: I'm not trying to learn from what Leslie did. I'm doing my own thing. And I respect that because he doesn't have to do what Leslie did. We don't need him to do what Leslie did because how many people are going to sit here and say, oh, well, Leslie did it better if Liam is trying to replicate it? He doesn't want that. He wants to come in and say, this is for our generation and what Seth and all them are trying to show for you guys to have for comedy nowadays. And I'm here for it because it makes it funny and it doesn't just, you know, make it so stupid to where you're hating the movie. They don't want you to have that. They want you to feel something for this movie in your own light and like it and love it and show many people. I mean, I'm seeing groups go into these movies. I'm not just seeing, one person or, like a couple going in. No, you see groups of families going in there. When the first time it came out last week, I actually saw a big group of family go in there, like 6 or 7 people. Kids too, and there was a kid literally laughing at some of the jokes that I never thought some kids would actually get. But that just shows that the older generation is showing these kids these movies and telling them that these jokes are funny. And I love that for this generation because a lot of it's missed. And we can't let these comedies die. It's not relying on fart jokes. It's not relying on stupid stuff to be funny. It's not relying on TikTok memes to make it funny. It's not casting, big name actors or people that you would think would be in a comedy movie or just because the director likes them. No, what Naked Gun does is take the concept of what they did back in the 80s and bring it to the 21st century. And I love that. The little jokes in there, not too many people would get, but the people that, even if they didn't watch the older movies, they would say, hey, this is actually pretty funny. Maybe I might want to watch the older ones with Leslie and see what he did back in the day. And then they'll watch Airplane, Spaceballs, Young Frankenstein. They'll watch all the older comedies that made comedy for what they did. Mel Brooks, I mean, hell, he's coming out with the new Spaceballs movies in 2027. Spaceballs 2. How many of us have been dying for a sequel to that because of how Star Wars has gone? You can make fun of it so easily and get money out of it. And Mel Brooks knows it, so he's gonna, even in their first teaser trailer, they said, there's so much that's happened between the first Spaceballs and now. He has material to go off of. He's not gonna rely on probably TikToks or, YouTube videos or whatever to make it funny. Mel Brooks is going to bring his comedy that he probably used back in the 80s. He's going to see the Naked Gun probably and be like, you know what? Comedy is back. It's funny to, I mean, they even talked about Black Eyed Peas in this movie. And he legit said, let's get, you know, the song that the Black Eyed Peas say. I don't know if I can say it on YouTube, so I don't want to say it just in case. So if you know Black Eyed Peas, you know that song. Let's get, in here. So they make a reference, oh, can I actually say that nowadays? And he says, well, in my club, you can. They know the sensitive types in this world. They know that people would get offended to it, but they still said the joke. They didn't push it to the limits of, being stupid. They didn't make a joke the whole pinnacle of the movie. There is literally one gag in the entire movie where Leslie and the other cops are just getting hand coffee the whole time. It's just funny. It's out of random. It wasn't just every scene in the entire movie. Its serious moments, it had its serious moments. It didn't have to have the coffee gag. But out of random, you just see him go, "Oh, hey." It's like, "Wait, wait, we're still doing it?" And it's funny. It's not stupid. It's not overdone. It was just the amount that you needed to make it funny. And I love that. And this is why I think comedy needs to go down. As much as I want comedy movies, I don't want to sit here and laugh at the same farty joke 30,000 times in the same movie about, say like a Spider-Man comedy movie. I don't want to sit here and think, oh, Spider-Man made a fart joke about his suit. It hurts to fart in the suit. No, I don't want that as a gag for 30 minutes or 2.5 hours. I want him to do different things and enjoy the movie. And that's what Liam Neeson's Frank Drebin Jr. goes through. It's not rehashing the same movie. It's not using the same plot as the first two or the three. It does its own thing. And I love that about this movie. And I hope if this movie does good, then comedy movies should take a step back and realize we need to do better. Because this movie could break ground for what Spaceballs 2 could hold. And I really hope Mel Brooks knows that, sees the Naked Gun for what it is and makes it off of that and brings his style of comedy back. You know, I mean, how many of us know the Blazing Saddles movie? How much racism was in it? How much of the jokes was pushed into it of what they were just trying to tell a story of what happened during the cowboy era? It fit for what the movie did, but how many people are going to be offended by those type of jokes now? Spaceballs has its own type of making fun of Star Wars, making fun of a lot of things from the times. So I hope comedy takes a big step back and realize we can make comedy funny, even if we push the boundaries. And that's why I love this movie so much. They still took little bitty itty steps of making comedy a little bit more funnier or, rehashing the same jokes, but it wasn't overdone like how some comedy movies have done it, and they're not making it funny anymore. But this one is a very, very breath of fresh air to take your family out and go see it, have a good laugh. Or heck, even if you just want to go see it on a weekend and just go enjoy a good comedy, this movie is for everyone. It has a little bit of everything. It's not over exaggerated. It's not completely stupid. Yes, the story is still stupid. It's not the greatest story ever. Literally, it takes the plot of another movie. I'm gonna let everyone figure that out. Let me know down in the comments if you know what movie I'm talking about. And if you've seen it, you'll know. And I'll like it. Because this literally is not groundbreaking for, storytelling. It's not groundbreaking for, you know, making $1 billion. It is a dumb, fun comedy for the summer, to end the summer, actually. We are literally a few weeks away from September, and we're about to be into another couple months of amazing movies coming up. I got more videos planned for those. I'm trying to get some gaming clips ready for some new videos. But for right now, um, hopefully for Battlefield, the gameplay that you're seeing, this is from the beta. I hope to get more when the game releases here soon. And we got some new games coming out that I hopefully can record with some friends. But in the meantime, guys, go check out The Naked Gun. It is an 8 out of 10 for me. It's dumb, fun. It's just a good laugh for everyone. And I hope you guys like, comment, and subscribe on this video and this channel. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.